Hey, Seattle hockey fans, it's a game day in Chicago. We're going to talk about that. And I have the Kraken goal song stuck in my head, and I'm going to explain to you why. It's all because of Jeff Baker. That and more coming up on today's episode of Locked On Kraken.
You are Locked On Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We are the Seattle Kraken.
Hey, what do you say, Seattle hockey fans? Welcome to another episode of Locked On Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We bring you your team, your favorite team, every single day. My name is Erica Ayala. I'm your host of Locked On Kraken, and it's a game day. We're going to have a good time on today's show. But first, let me tell you that today's episode of Locked On Kraken brought to you by Gametime. Now, you can download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. But before you head to the Gametime app, let me tell you a little bit about your Seattle Kraken taking on a familiar foe. Well, more so a familiar forward playing for our foe tonight, Ryan Donato and the Hawks of Chicago. That's right. I know what their full name is. I just choose not to use it. Anyway, we're going to go over the stats that you need to know ahead of tonight's game. But before we do that, on yesterday's episode, two things that I need to clear up. One is that I said that the Kansas City Mavericks were off until December 6th. That is inaccurate. I don't know. I made a mistake and I want to correct it. They actually have a game today, so we'll do another Kansas City Monday, and I will have games to preview, but I do hope that they got in some team building. So that's number one. And that leads me to what number two is, and that is that we got some insight into what the team building activities had, what they entailed. And that is from the reporting of Jeff Baker. At the time that I'm recording, he posted it maybe about an hour or so ago, but a team dinner where the rookies were responsible for a performance of sorts. We don't know exactly what the performance was, but they did get a round of applause or stick taps, if you will. But it's the way Jeff Baker opened his article that threw me a little bit for a loop. The article, if you head over to the Seattle Times, is entitled "Kraken Use Extra Time in Chicago to Get in Sync on and Off the Ice." And he spells in sync as you would actually spell it, not as in the boy band. Just a missed opportunity there, Jeff Baker. Anyway, here's how it opens. And it just was a strange open for me, but then it took me down this rabbit hole. So at the end of the day, I am grateful, although this kind of genie in a bottle rubbed me the wrong way. Anyway, barely 2 weeks into the season, some Kraken veterans made a unilateral decision that the team's new dressing room victory song had to go. The 2 decades old comedic rap melody had been introduced as a training camp gag. Come and get your love, in case you don't know. Given how few the victories the Kraken have managed early, it's understandable the song got overlooked until some veterans heard it blaring through the locker stalls a second time following a road win in Detroit and decided enough was enough. Now, I do remember, and I'm not going to remember who it was, but I remember an account tweeting about the new victory song for the Seattle Kraken. And I can't for the life of me remember the song. So if you remember, put it in the comments or tweet at Locked On Kraken to jog my memory if it was you. But So come and get your love. Jeff has an entirely different article on how that became the victory song. And I actually really enjoyed that article. I didn't realize that those were indigenous or native singers, and there's a lot of history behind the band Redbone. I also at first had a little bit of an issue with the name Redbone. It's definitely a name that I'm familiar with, or a nickname I'm familiar with, but depending on how it's used, it can definitely be a little bit offensive. But if that's the name of the band, I guess we can't do anything about it. Anyway, I thought that Jeff calling the new victory song, something that, quote, the parents of small children trampling one another for earplugs. I don't know. I felt it was a little man screams at cloud, get off my lawn, but I don't know. Check it out. But the more important part of the article is him talking about the dinner that the Seattle Kraken had in Chicago. There were only two rookies, Ty Cartier and Joy Decord, who participated in effectively like some kind of a performance. It was not disclosed fully what that performance was, but a lot of the veterans like Oleksiak and Belmar felt that they did pretty well. Belmar said they both nailed it. You want to give them a hard time, but they both were good, so you just applaud them. So it was not the trust fall. It was not the kind of let's focus on, what we need to improve. It was more of a light thing. Jeff Baker's reporting goes on to say that they have a few of these dinners planned. This one was player led, and yeah, you put the rookies on the spot. That's always fun. I never really liked rookie hazing personally. I just think it's a little, yeah, I'm not into it. Anyway, but so that's what they did. So it wasn't a golfing trip. It wasn't like laser tag or anything like that. Unfortunately, as far as I know, it was not to re-recruit Ryan Donato, but it was a dinner. And the rookies performed, and they did a really great job. Dave Haxtell talked a little bit, and he talked about, not necessarily looking for the dinner itself or the team building opportunity itself to, quote, help us. He says he wants the team to continue to grow in every way. And just like any other team, his team is no different. You look to continue to grow in chemistry, and that's on the ice and off the ice. And Belmar and a few other players, I think Yanni Gourde also interviewed for the piece, talking about how some of that, yeah, it does happen when you are just hanging out at dinner and sharing stories, having a good time. So that's more of what the team building was. I think, I also am a leadership development nerd, so I like a little bit more of the activities, not hazing, but positive activities. Anyway, I thought it was interesting that Jeff Baker opened his article talking about the win song. But again, there's actually a really interesting article that I never came across for whatever reason. It didn't cross my path until now, but back in November 8th, so over a year ago, 2022, Jeff Baker wrote how the Kraken chose their post-game victory song, Redbone's Come and Get Your Love. And let me tell you, as someone who has heard this song, oh my gosh. First of all, for what is it? Guardians of the Galaxy. I think it's a very suspect playlist or mixtape. It's very suspect. But I guess a sign of the time. But that song has always just been one of those that once you hear it, it just kind of it gets in your head and you can't get it out. So I've been singing this song since reading Jeff's article shortly after he posted it. But I thought it's interesting that he focused on the song and that some of the veterans were like, oh, we changed this song, we're not doing it. And he goes into, in the article that I mentioned from last November, about how they had a different song, country song, I believe. And they knew that it was going to change because they didn't play it a lot. They didn't have a lot of wins. So will the return to Come and Get Your Love help focus the Seattle Kraken? Is it more of the dinner that's going to help focus the Seattle Kraken? Either way, we know we've got some not young blood per se, but we've got some new blood coming to the Seattle Kraken by way of Andrew Podorowski. And here's what he had to say after morning skate today.
What kind of feeling is that?
It's just super exciting. It's been a long time. Only have 4 games in my career. I think it's my 8th year pro. So just super excited. It's where everyone wants to be, and not going to take this for granted.
How about playing here? You won a championship here in the AHL. What's it like coming back?
It's definitely really special. I had a really good year here. My son was born not too far away, downtown Chicago, so that's also really cool. Brings back a lot of good memories, so hopefully we can build on that tonight.
You've obviously been skating with the team for a little bit, but is there anything you do special to get accustomed to your line mates for tonight?
I'm playing with 2 really good players tonight, so just got to get them the puck and just kind of play my game, try to make plays, and do what I do to bring the value to the team, and just work hard and get my feet moving.
The Wolves always had a reputation of being a big league organization, even though they're in the American League. What was your experience?
So there was Andrew talking. I think he has some great insight. Obviously, this is an opportunity for him. Jeff Baker reporting that he was skating on that line with Jaden Schwartz and Alex Wenberg. So we're thinking Kyler Yamamoto probably on that 4th line with Ty Cartier and Pierre-Edouard Bellemare. We also know that the Seattle Kraken, they brought up Marian Studnick as well from the Coachella Valley Firebirds. Now, I talked to you about Oliver Bjorkstrand getting a little bit rocked. We did get reporting that Andre Burakovsky is in Chicago with the team, still skating in a red jersey. We haven't gotten any update of any other forward coming out of the lineup, so we're not exactly sure when or if at all we'll see Marian Studnick, but just something to keep an eye on. But coming up next on Locked On Kraken, let's get into a little bit more of what to expect from the Chicago Blackhawks, the opponent for the Seattle Kraken tonight, a game day in the Windy City. Today's episode of Locked On Kraken, as I mentioned at the top of the show, is brought to you by Gametime. I've told you before, I love using the Gametime app. I've used it to buy M's tickets. I've used it to see Little Dragon at the Neptune Theater, all in Seattle. You shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. Gametime is a fast and easy way to buy tickets from all your favorite sports, music, comedy, and theater events and venues near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the best price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. And don't forget that the Gametime guarantee means that you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and same row for less, Gametime will credit you 110% the difference. So, once again, download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but you can create that account. Remember promo code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, Seattle Kraken fans, it's time for the rundown and know the enemy. and it is Ryan Donato and the Chicago hockey team, 6-13-12, 6-13-0, 12 points on the season. The Seattle Kraken 8-9-5, 21 points overall. The Seattle Kraken away record 4-3-4, while Chicago at home 2-6-0. So may the odds be ever in the Kraken's favor, as they are in our last 10 games, 4-3-3 in our last 10, 3-7-0 in their last 10, including a feisty little game against the Blues. I guess that would have been maybe Saturday, Sunday, over the weekend. Now, this is a Chicago team, whether you're talking about their first game or even their most recent game or the most recent game of theirs that I watched. They are a team you have to make sure that you are playing your game for a complete 60, because they'll come and sneak up on you. They can start quick and they can get some points in quick succession late in a game. I think it's because they're young, they're scrappy. And so we got to be careful with a team like the Blackhawks. Power play, yikes, 9.7 to our 23.5%. The PK for the Seattle Kraken sitting at 73.9%, while the penalty kill is at a 76.7 clip for the Blackhawks. When we look at our betting lines, money line minus 192 in favor of the Kraken. The over-under is over 6.5, according to FanDuel Sportsbook. For the Blackhawks, we have a plus 158. The under is 6.5. Check out FanDuel. You'll hear more about that coming up on the show. We're going to get into keys to the game. I've alluded to a few things, but here's what we know. The Chicago team wants to really get some wins here. They also, it's not our team, but we would be remiss if we did not mention that they're going through a little bit of drama. Now, listen, I know there's been a lot of rumors and whatnot. What we do know is Corey Perry officially not with the team. Now, he has not played for the Blackhawks in a little bit, but the Blackhawks officially released a statement, and we really don't have more details, but the Chicago NHL team released this after an internal investigation. The Chicago Blackhawks have determined that Corey Perry has engaged in conduct that is unacceptable and in violation of both the terms of his standard players contract and the Blackhawks, I'm reading, internal policies intended to promote professional and safe work environments. As such, Corey Perry has been placed on unconditional waivers. In the event Mr. Perry clears waivers, we intend to terminate his contract effective immediately. So, again, I'm not going to get into the rumors on this particular podcast. You can read those if you like. I mean, I honestly don't even know what to say about the rumors. They're giving me like LeBron James vibes early in his career. If you know, you know. So how will this affect the organization? How is this going to impact the team? This is obviously something that they, at the time that I started recording, I think was when there was to be the press conference. So, we don't really know what's going on. I'm just looking now on social media because there have been rumors and a lot of people have asked the organization to really clear up those rumors. So now I'm looking at Sportsnet, and this is something that I want to share with you because I wasn't planning to talk about this because why would we? But the news cycle being what it is, we absolutely have to talk about this. And so Sportsnet has something that I want to share. Quote, this does not involve any other players or their family members. Kyle Davidson on behalf of the Chicago organization regarding Corey Perry. So there you go. Just as things are coming in, I remembered that they were going to have that press conference at 4 p.m. Local time, which actually is my time. It's very rare that I get to talk about the Seattle Kraken when they're in the same time zone as me. So I was like, oh yeah, 4 o'clock. That's like now. So there you go. I don't really know what else to say. I'm not sure how this is going to impact the Blackhawks, but regardless, this is a team that needs a win. They need a win on the ice. They've got Connor Bedard. He's looking pretty good for them. But, and now this controversy happening. If we look at in the Central Division, they are bottom of the basement. I already mentioned 6-13-0. 316 is their winning percentage. They have a negative 21 goal differential. So they've got a long road. We kind of knew that was going to be the case with Chicago. So it's not really a surprise. I wouldn't say it's a surprise, but just something to keep in mind. But we know that the Seattle Kraken have faltered against teams in need of a win this season. So with all of that said, drama to the side, what do the Seattle Kraken, what does our NHL team need to do to come out of Chicago with 2 points? Let's talk about that coming up on today's episode of Locked On Kraken. Today's episode of Locked On Kraken brought to you by eBay Motors. So now listen, I know Chicago's wishing that they could find some solid ride or dies, but you need look no further than eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. That's what brings home the winning trophy. It's also what keeps that ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle, level it up to peak performance, superchargers, roof racks, LED lights, you name it. eBay Motors has got it for you. Over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with the eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. That's because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home a win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only. Available to U.S. customers. Thanks as always for making Locked On Kraken a part of your daily destination. I want to remind you that Locked On Sports Today is now a 24/7, 365 YouTube channel. So go check that out. And make sure you check out Locked On NHL, especially this Friday. We've got some PWHL news. They are going to be partnering with the NHL for the All-Star weekend, but I also got the skinny on what the PWHL was thinking about when it came to doing an activation in Seattle for the Winter Classic. But if you want to find out, you're going to have to listen later on this week to Locked On NHL and the Women's Hockey Spotlight. Let's wrap this up with our keys to the game versus Chicago. Attack early. Attack early. I've been saying this for a little while now, but here's exactly why. Now, the Blackhawks are 2-5-0 when scoring first. They have more wins, I should say, also more losses when their opponent scores first. They're 4-8-0 when the opponent scores first. But we've got 4 wins either way when we score first. Now, when leading after the first period, the Seattle Kraken are 6-4-1. The Blackhawks are 1-7-0 when trailing after the first period. When leading after the second period, the Seattle Kraken 6-0-3, but we are 0-7-0 when trailing after 2. The Chicago team is 2-10-0 when trailing after the second period. Hence, attack early. Number 2, expose special teams. Now, this is particularly important because, as I mentioned earlier, and I'm showing up on the screen now, 9.7 power play. This gives an opportunity for us to be good on the PK, though I don't really want the Seattle Kraken to spend too much time on the penalty kill. But maybe if they do find themselves there, it's very possible. Maybe a shorthanded opportunity or two is in the cards. So I like that. And then finally, have fun. Come and get your love. Big goalie hugs at the end of the game. That's what we want. You had a great dinner. You took some time to spend with each other, to get to know each other and put hockey to the side. It's a game at the end of the day. And Andrew Podorowski is coming back to a familiar city. He said his child was born in Chicago, in downtown Chicago. He's won at the AHL level in Chicago. And so I think he's going to have a smile on his face. I hope he does. And I hope it's contagious. I hope his excitement, his energy permeates. Dave Haxtell talking about how Potts has worked so hard that he's earned this. And, you know, a lot of people want to say, hey, he's almost 30 and has only got, 4 NHL games under his belt. Who cares? Play the game, baby. Play the game. And that's what you heard in some of what Andrew was saying. Listen, have fun. Go ham. Have a good time. I think the Seattle Kraken, and that's why, although I think it's a very cheesy song, although I do appreciate and respect now the history behind the band, it's fun. It's fun. It's not a song I would play multiple times on repeat, but it's fun. That's kind of like, you know, Gloria for the St. Louis Blues. I love that song. I think it's so corny, but it's just fun. It brings a smile on your face. Now, I don't agree again with how Jeff Baker was categorizing the very short-lived new hybrid victory song for the locker room. I thought he was a little bit harsh and he sounded a little bit more seasoned, perhaps. But I mean, I get it. And in his article, he has quotes from Eberle, Jordan Eberle, saying that you want something that is gonna, be something you can bop to and just have fun with. And Come and Get Your Love is definitely that. So here's hoping, maybe not for the sake of the reporters, but here's hoping that we do see some smiles. All right. When Dave Haxtell smiles, it's just like, I feel like fairies get their wings or something like that when Dave Haxtell smiles. So let's give Dave and the rest of Kraken Nation something to smile about, boys. Come and get your love, because we're going to give you plenty of just good vibes and positive, loving energy, as we always do, because here on Locked on Kraken and among our viewers and listeners, we hold fast and we stay true. It's so much easier to do and it's more enjoyable when we're winning. So let's get a win. Let's get a win against Chicago. Be kind to yourselves. Be kind to one another. And I will catch you on the next episode of Locked on Kraken. Until then, enjoy the game. Hold fast. Stay true. Let's go, Kraken. And let's go, Ryan Donato. We still love you. Peace out, everybody. I'll catch you on the next episode.